Welcome to a 1v1 again on Langerskaya. I hate this map, everybody knows that, but I saw the matchup and I couldn't resist. It's the mysterious Quinn Scruffy versus Cruzz. Cruzz in the north base versus Quinn Scruffy in the south, who has insta-picked tank hunter tactics. I'm actually, you know what, I'm curious to see if that's any good against Overcommando West this patch. It was arguably kind of annoyingly strong against OKW last patch. Not as good as Guard Motor, but still pretty ridiculous. With the nerf to the PTRS and the addition of the Panzer IV to OKW, I'm not sure it's gonna work as well. So hopefully it's still viable. Let's find out. 2 combat engineers into Penal Battalion opening. That's weird. Okay. Normally you see con spam for the PTRS blobs. Maybe we're gonna see something totally experimental and different from normal. Maybe a little bit more Red Wing style tank hunter tactics rather than just con blobs. I'm intrigued. Cruzz has fielded fortification, scavenge, and Luftwaffe ground forces, so he has plenty of access to MG34s. I would be pretty surprised to see him go scavenge on this map. MG34s are pretty hard to pass up, but we'll see what he chooses to do. Penal Battalion's moving to grab territory there on the right. No hyper-aggression from either player. Just taking their respective halves of the map. Cruzz going with a slightly more aggressive capping order, sending Folks Grenadiers towards this fuel, hoping to run into combat engineers so that he can head those off with his slightly stronger infantry squad there. Start putting pressure on that point and pulling his opponent over there. Here's a tier 1 into a quick scout car after the Penal Battalion is fielded, so Penals will jump in there. This hitting the field quite early is going to be problematic for Cruzz to deal with. He does have 30 munitions for maybe an early mine, but having to fight against it already, he doesn't have much of a counter. Stern Pioneers will be forced to retreat right there, and his SWS will also have to pull back into the base. Gonna have to try and find a way to deal with this thing. If he goes with a really early Rakettenwerfer, it's gonna hurt his infantry game a little bit. So he's definitely gonna have to find a way to push these Penal Battalions off of his cutoff. Over here on the left side, Folks Grenadiers have not done enough damage to these combat engineers to start actually working the fuel point. And now that they're flanked by another combat engineer squad, they may not win this engagement. SWS pulls back into the base. It barely even escaped right there. That was actually a very dangerous situation. Cruzz will opt for the Rakettenwerfer. He needs a tool to get rid of that M3. Feels that it's worth it to invest in that anti-tank weapon a little early. It's already got 3 Folks Grenadiers out, so I could see it. Folks Grenadiers are working on the munitions point over here on the right side. This squad moving to grab the strategic point here in the south, and the cutoff being restored by Stern Pioneers simultaneously. It's actually gotten burst down to about half HP by those Sturms on the flank. Starting to wonder maybe if the Rakettenwerfer was even necessary. He seems to be doing a pretty good job managing the threat it poses. He just got his main gun destroyed and is proving very slow to pull to safety. It will round the corner right there. Penal Battalion will win the engagement against those Stern Pioneers, but a big flank from these Folks Grenadiers will take the engagement for Cruzz. Stern Pioneers retreat with only 3 men remaining so that they can get back to the base for reinforcement without taking too much bleed, and the scout car will be repaired over here on the left side. Rakettenwerfer has not yet found an opportunity against it. Combat engineers taking control of territory in the south, and conscripts grabbing the fuel point over here on the right. There is the first flamethrower for Quinn Scruffy upgraded on his Penal Battalion. And no tech from Cruzz yet. I think he wants to set this up in a slightly more aggressive location than just in the middle of his base. I don't know, I can't tell what he wants to do. Obviously he doesn't want that to get caught in progress.
Enemy forces are attempting to capture our territory.
And there's the battle group, so it's not really that far out of his base, but it'll allow him to reinforce as he's moving out of his base, give him a slightly more forward healing position. It'll help his staying power on his cutoff a little bit, but it's not anything super aggressive. Folks Grenadiers working on the cutoff right here will slow Soviet fuel income just a little bit, but they will have to run away from that flamethrower plus M3 combo quite early if they want to get home safely. Stern Pioneers start working on the combat engineers here on the cutoff, and there's an MG34 fielded by Cruzz, who has chosen Luftwaffe ground forces, not fortifications doctrine. So that'll give him access to Fallschirmjäger later in the game. which I do believe Cruzz likes using Fallschirmjäger. I think I've heard him say that he likes them as an elite infantry option, so I'm curious to see how those might be employed this game. But he does need to try and break out of this containment a little bit. Oberkommando West tends to be in this situation.
Red Army, at your service.
At least a little bit. But you can't stay in this situation for too long. It's not the end of the world if this happens, but you need to try and get out of this containment, get back a little bit of territory, try and have at least one fuel point, one munitions point, and most importantly, one victory point. Cruzz is going to advance straight down the middle, try and hold the center VP before rotating to try and engage against buildings or anything like that, because he does not have a tool with which to take buildings right now. Grenade assault and light mines have been unlocked, but still no PTRSs for Quinn Scruffy, who's up to 3 squads of conscripts. Throw PTRSs on them.
The enemy has taken our supply sector.
And there's tier 3.
I have the men ready.
Needs a little bit more manpower, and then he will be able to throw out whatever tier 3 unit he desires. And Cruzz is going to get an infantry support gun to try and pound his opponent out of these buildings, which is, it's not the best, but it's what his faction has to offer. And after infantry support gun, he's probably going to want to at least think about saving up for a Panzerschreck. You may want to think about a second Raketenwerfer, because there's going to be tier 3 units on the field very soon. Here comes the M5, and Quinn Scruffy does indeed have the munitions he needs to upgrade that with a quad mount easily. Excuse me.
Combat engineers can now equip salvage kits.
And his harassment attempts left may... Ooh, nice Raketenwerfer ambush, but it just wasn't enough. Ooh, he probably should have stuck, rather than retreating the Sturmpios, maybe if he had stuck around in the engagement, got a full burst with the STGs. I thought that was just going to be dead Sturmpios, but he was actually trying to set up a kill on that thing with the Raketenwerfer, but unfortunately just didn't have the damage he needed. Infantry support gun plus Volksgrenadier blob will win this engagement, though. Lay retreat on those conscripts, but it looks like they're going to get away alive. Unfortunately, those Sturm Pioneers were not so lucky. There's the M5. The loss of his Sturm Pioneers is very painful for Cruzz. I don't know if he could afford that manpower loss. He needed that manpower for maybe a second Raketenwerfer, maybe a 4th squad of Volksgrenadiers. Having to replace your Sturm Pios is very, very painful. And here comes a heavy dose of manpower bleed in the form of the quad mount M5. It's going to start bursting down those Volksgrenadiers hard, and he will be forced to retreat away from the threat it poses. SWS moving up a little bit to provide vision, I guess, for the... Oh, nice mine on the flank, though. M3 sneaking around the flank, blows up on a shoe mine placed there by Cruzz, and that pickup will help immensely. I don't think there was a squad inside. No, there was no squad inside. But at least he managed to get rid of that thing. The M5 will now be his #1 priority. And I'm wondering if Cruzz wants to get up a tier 4 for the protection that it will provide. Not sure what his plans are for this truck. He does have the the CPs for Fallschirmjäger now. If he beefs up his infantry corps a little bit, maybe a few more team weapons, maybe a few more squads, maybe he'll feel comfortable fielding a squad of elite infantry. Giving him access to the Panzerfaust might be helpful against this half-track. It's going to be very difficult for him to deal with this threat, though. Lucky infantry support gun shots always help, though.
We are losing territory.
There's PTRSs being upgraded on conscripts left everywhere actually. Every conscript squad. He's only got 3, so not that hard to afford. He will now have PTRSs to boost his anti-infantry damage, in addition to forward reinforcement from the half-track. Ooh, got a little close to the Raketenwerfer right there, but it will get away. Will get to safety. Raketenwerfer switches targets to the conscripts right there. And those Volksgrenadiers get suppressed even in a green cover position. Cruzz is trying to expand his territory where he can. He's got 1 strategic point under his control left. Trying to grab a strategic point over here on the right. He's got a VP, most importantly, slow the clock, so he's got a little time to work with. He's just got to try to slowly break out of his box. It's a very slow and steady, difficult process. But this game's definitely not even close to over. It's very much about his management of the M5 right now. But Quinn Scruffy will definitely be transitioning up. Once there's a Katyusha on the field, which I assume he's going for, this is, if you think it looks difficult now, it's going to get even more ridiculous. It's pretty interesting that Tier 3 and Tier 4 was unheard of in the past. Now it's a very much, you see it all the time. So, pretty interesting dynamic. With significantly reduced cost on both structures, but the Tier 4 requires the Tier 3, so it's kind of fun to see that. Very much diversifying the late game for Soviets. Late game options. Quad will move towards the left, and even in green cover, that MG34 has no chance of winning this engagement. He could have popped armor-piercing rounds, but I think he knew full well that he was not winning that engagement. Not being monitored in the middle, some penal battalions might go down as they cross red cover. Panzerschreck Snipe did a really lucky burst right there, bringing those penals down faster than Quinn Scruffy was expecting. And Cruzz gets a very lucky pickup against that flamethrower squad. That is going to help a lot, and that is going to motivate him apparently to field a squad of Fallschirmjäger and try and capitalize on that infantry lead. Of course, having a core of infantry and team weapons this big is going to make him suffer a little bit under fire of the Katyusha, which is now in production, and Cruzz is struggling to get map back under his control just because of this one unit. It's up to 9 kills already, and Cruzz shows no signs of being able to hunt it and destroy it with anything. He's not going to be able to get out of Panzer IV anytime in the near future if he can't get some fuel under his, even if he does. 15 fuel coming in with control of this fuel point is nothing. Panzer IV is still very far away. Fallschirmjäger catch another squad on a late retreat. Is that another wipe? Not quite, but that was close. These infantry wipes are starting to stack up in a very real way. How's that infantry support gun doing? Only 5 kills. It has not really bled his opponent that badly. But at least it can put pressure on these buildings. At least it can do something. But Cruzz just really struggling to break this containment despite the fact that he's inflicted heavy losses on his opponent. And seems to be engaging quite cost effectively for manpower. Here comes the first Katyusha barrage. That spread of rockets was a little off target. Cruzz will try and split. And he does so. He gets pretty lucky there. The spread was very off. That didn't do much. I don't know if he'll continue getting lucky in the future, but good reaction to the Katyusha barrage. Got a lot of team weapons clear, and also had good luck. The initial bursts didn't inflict too much serious harm. Raketenwerfer gets another nice shot off on the half track, and it is forced to pull back to safety. And Cruzz will send a pretty hefty infantry blob up the right side to maybe get some real map control back. He will finally expand onto the munitions point. He's got the fuel. He's got pretty good defense set up here on his cutoff. Oh no, it happened on the left. Sturmpyos charging into these conscripts got cut down hard, but at least they made it away alive, I think. Yeah, there they are. And the infantry support gun plus whatever was advancing convinces those conscripts to retreat, and another squad of conscript has been wiped on the right side, bringing Quinn Scruffy down to only 2 squads, freshly fielding this 3rd squad to shore up his infantry numbers, but he has taken some serious losses. His infantry army is nothing compared to Cruzz right now. Cruzz, I don't think, has suffered any. Oh no, he lost a full squad of Sturmpyos, so they've both suffered wipes, but clearly Cruzz has the chunkier infantry army right now, whereas Quinn Scruffy is operating with the more scary vehicle army of the quad mount and the Katyusha. But finally, Cruzz will get out something of his own. We will see a Jag Panzer in production. He has no intentions of going with any other tech tiers. He's just going battle group straight to Jagdpanzer and surviving until he gets that out on this very juicy infantry corps. And he's growing his map control, and once that Jagdpanzer hits the field, I think this game could see a very dramatic turnaround. And Su-85 is in production as well, so the dynamic of Su-85 versus Jagdpanzer will mean that they both have to be careful how they use their tank destroyer, managing the threat of the other player's tank destroyer. Uh-oh, little bit of a bad situation. Could have been a late reaction right there. Not quite. Gets clear just before that second shot fires. Just barely in time. Did something explode? Did something hit a mine? What was that noise? Oh, it was just this tractor. Okay, never mind. Thought something hit a mine or something. Jagdpanzer is on the field. It reveals itself firing at some pinned conscripts. They're going to get out of there, so Quinn Scruffy is aware that there's the Jagdpanzer out. Katyusha has fired a second barrage, by the way, picked up 7 kills. That looked like it was nasty. Did it kill an SWS as well? Yes, it did. Just randomly destroyed that. And it wiped a Stern Pioneer squad with that barrage. So that Katyusha, I wish I had caught it, but that looks like it was pretty devastating. Oh no, and the Jagdpanzer hits a mine! Eats a grenade assault right there! Su-85 hits the field, and that Jagdpanzer might already be going down. Oh no, Cruzz! That mine was devastating. That was not something he could afford to happen right there. He was going to dive, I think, with that Jagdpanzer in deep and try and get revenge on that Katyusha before his opponent was ready, but he was ready. He was more than ready for that. That's going to hurt. Cruzz now has no choice but to switch gears a little bit onto a second Raketten Warfare and keep playing defensively. Nice harassment of the left with this machine gun. Pretty sneaky. M5 is on its way over there to try and push that away. Machine gun will have to retreat immediately. It may not even survive, honestly. I don't know. Could pick up another wipe over here on the right side. Maybe with a lucky snipe. Doesn't look like it's going to happen, though. Squad's going to get away. But Cruzz, his territory still looks quite good, actually. The loss of that Jagdpanzer hurts a lot, but his territory is okay, so this game may not be over yet. Katyusha barrage on this squad on the right side. Comes close to wiping. Cruzz will get it to safety. Panzerschreck squad gets out of there without being wiped. And the Fallschirmjäger are currently up to 4 kills. I don't know if they've even taken a loss yet, so they seem to be doing okay. That demo charge, though. Demo charge on the center VP, and Cruzz with no minesweeper has no way to clean up these mines and demo charges that are currently littering the field. MG34 will be forced to retreat from these PTRSs. It does get a little suppression though. Demo charge detonated blind! Oh no, he got greedy right there. He detonated without vision and takes out only one Fallschirmjäger model. Is that a second Katyusha? Yes, second Katyusha on the field is going to start just pounding away at Cruzz's battle group. Ooh, some of these stray rockets are hurting. Fallschirmjäger being engaged by the M5 there in the center. Currently, Cruzz has nothing available to counter. Raketten Warfers will be forced away by an anti-tank bomb strike. He needs to get that all out of there. He's going to try and dodge by moving south. Nice dodge, actually, but he has to expose them to serious harm from this conscript squad. It looks like somehow he's going to get all these team weapons out of there alive as long as this actually gets going. There it goes. A lot of infantry in Cruzz's battle group headquarters needs to repair and reinforce, get back on the front line, and he has to somehow dance around 2 Katyushas constantly bombarding, which is clearly proving hectic. And even if he succeeds to do that for several minutes, he is going to be behind in the armor game, getting out a second Jagdpanzer. He will be forced to support it with a minesweeper. He has to keep a lot of infantry alive without any tank destroyer for a long time. He will have to juggle control of this game, and by playing on the defensive under this much Katyusha fire, it's going to be very difficult to survive. And again, no access to repairs at all. Every time this battle group headquarters takes damage, there is nothing he can do about it. His manpower situation cannot support the purchase of another squad of Stern Pioneers right now. Conscripts retreat. Oh! Almost picks up some big kills with that Katyusha barrage. Cruzz is moving a huge force up through the middle. I think he may be trying to get those Rakedenwerfers to camo into range on the Katyushas, but it looks like Quinn Scruffy is kind of sees this coming a little bit. Rakedenwerfers do find an opportunity against that Su-85 though. Couple shots connecting. It's falling dangerously low. Panzerschreck on its way to try and finish the job, but if they walk into the base guns, it's gonna get away. Nice attempt by Cruzz. That big push. I almost thought that we were going to see an Su-85 go down right there, but not quite, and the Katyushas will be available to fire again soon if Cruzz retreats all of his forces at the same time. Could be problematic. MG-34 will be forced to retreat right there. Another one in the back. A layered push a little bit will force a couple combat engineers to retreat there. Nice harassment in the meantime of the... No, the mine! Ooh, that wasn't that bad. Volksgrenadiers taking control of the left side fuel, but they will be pushed away by these conscripts. Meanwhile, Quinn Scruffy also harassing the right side with his conscripts, gets that fuel under his control. Cruzz is just asking to get blasted by a Katyusha with this. If he gets too close to that battle group headquarters, he needs to be very spread out. Here comes another barrage. I actually haven't seen the creeping barrage yet. I'd be interested to see that. It's 90 munitions though. That's got a bit of a price tag. Here it comes. Fallschirmjäger in serious danger. Oh, there it is. Couldn't get clear, and that squad of infantry goes down. I don't think that Cruzz really got a return on that investment this game. They just got bled too hard. I didn't see them inflict any serious damage. They were just hitting Vet 1 too, giving them access to the frangible, but with them gone, that's going to be a significant damage source. Wiped out, another squad wiped right there, and we could see the battle group destroyed by this barrage, which could be the game. He will not be able to get a Jagdpanzer out. There may not be any way for Cruzz to recover from these losses.
Encroaching on our territory.
Objective secure. We will defend it. Your orders.
Conscripts making their way up the left side, take control of strategic points over there, start building Quinn Scruffy's lead. Grenade toss right there. Will convince those conscripts to retreat though. Cruzz will hold on to a little territory right while his opponent is reinforcing, making more infantry forces. Getting ready for another big push. We're actually going to see a transition from tier 4 units back down to conscripts, trying to build up a bigger infantry army to try and maybe set up a triple cap here, while the Katyushas continue pounding into the fog of war. He doesn't actually even know that the battle group's been destroyed, I guess, because he continues to bombard this area, but there's nothing there.
We have more conscripts at our disposal.
M5 finds an opportunity right. It's up to 22 kills now. So there's that retreat. Ooh, there's another wipe. Another wipe. Conscripts grabbing the right side munitions. Flamethrower grabbing the right side fuel. A little bit of light harassment left for Cruzz as he tries to vie for territory where possible. Big Katyusha barrage on this blob of Cruzz's forces. That's going to wipe both Rakedenwerfers, possibly wipe this infantry support gun out. And Cruzz has been reduced to almost nothing remaining. Pretty sure we are now looking at the end of this game. Folks Grenadiers possibly also getting wiped right there by PTRS fire. Almost, not quite, the getaway by a hair, but it doesn't matter. The game's definitely over. Quinn Scruffy moving to set up a triple cap here and get the rest of the victory points off the board. Still 200 to go though, but I don't think there's anything Cruzz could possibly do to turn this game around. With 150 fuel banked, I suspect he was probably trying to make it to Jagdpanzer out of his battle group. With that no longer an option, he's gone tier 3. I don't know what he could make out of this that's gonna do anything. Maybe a Puma. Even if a Puma pulled off some sort of miracle maneuver that took out both Katyushas and the M5 and the Su-85, he still doesn't have the infantry forces to contend with what Quinn Scruffy's now got on the field. 5 squads of upgunned conscripts. He'll have no problem maintaining this containment. Over Commando West just struggles against indirect fire. That's pretty much all it comes down to. They don't have good indirect fire solutions of their own, at least not affordable ones.
Enemy forces are capturing our supplies.
On map or off map. You have no choices but as over Commando West but to be very aggressive, make deep flanks and try and hunt and destroy these, which is in direct contrast with their design as a very defensive faction. Produces a dilemma as over Commando West against indirect fire. Do I attack and risk hitting a mine and losing my Jagdpanzer immediately? Or do I just try and dodge artillery and deal with it until I finally get out a strong medium tank that actually can do something about this? Looks like Cruzz has gone with the Puma, the more mobile option to maybe try and find a way to hunt and destroy those Katyushas, but I don't know how many consecutive miracles it would take for that Puma to actually turn this game around. M5 is going to pick up another wipe over here on the left easily. 28 kills on this thing now. And an MG42, MG34 handed over to the enemy. Cruzz will briefly slow down the clock with only 100 victory points remaining. His Puma not in motion. He doesn't probably have any idea where he could send this thing that it would actually have any kind of impact. There's basically 2 Su-85s on the field, one actually on the field and one that will hit the field as soon as anything dies.
The enemy has taken our supply sector.
How can we help? Running back to Bavaria.
The enemy is down to 100 points.
Standing by. We have found the enemy. Not much. It's done. We destroyed the target.
Puma making its way down the right side. I guess, I don't know. I could give a speech right now about this is a perfect example of why Langer Sky is such a stupid map, but I've already given that speech 100 times. There goes the M5. Nice moral victory for Cruzz, I guess. Puma manages to pick it up. Su-85 moves to counter. Folks Grenadiers will actually scare it off, so the Puma will not be destroyed yet. Stern Pioneers scare off one squad of conscripts, but there's 3 more to push them back into the base. That's 1 high priority target down, 4 to go, plus whatever 240 fuel can purchase. Flak half track next. Against tank hunter tactics, I'm not sure that's gonna get the job done. I don't think it has what it takes. Here comes the next triple cap with only 75 points remaining. As long as Quinn Scruffy can maintain this containment, it should be the game.
We are bleeding, comrade. We must defend this territory.
flanked with AT grenades. Enemy forces capturing supply sector.
MG34 pushed back into the base. Conscripts there going to retreat. Stolen Reckenwerfer moving up to put pressure on the base. There's the flak half-track plus Puma. Miracle Dream Team that needs to take on the entire Soviet army and recapture the whole map somehow in the next 2 minutes. Stolen Reckenwerfer's already brought the flak half-track low, and double Su-85 is on its way to probably seal this game and finish off everything Cruzz has left. Conscripts moving up into the capture circle, and the Su-85s move up to start taking fire, or start taking shots at the Puma. 2 shots already connecting. Second one just kind of chilling in the back to provide flank protection should that Puma decide to get aggressive, I guess. Volksgrenadier is going to try and scare him off. These infantry have pushed the Volksgrenadiers here back into the base. The MG34, however, trying to lay some suppressing fire on them. 22 points now remaining as Cruzz makes a desperate push for the center VP right here. Should be able to win this engagement against the combat engineers. Katyusha firing into the base will finish off a wounded Volksgrenadier squad right there, bringing Cruzz down to only 3 squads of infantry and team weapons remaining. The MG34 will move to try and slow the clock. Flak half-track will maybe pick up a wipe here. But only 10 points left, and there's nothing he can do. Desperately trying to slow the clock. Sturm Pioneers have wiped these combat engineers and are trying to capture this point. MG34 trying to capture this point. The clock is sufficiently slowed, but here comes more infantry pushing him out of the center VP. And despite briefly stopping the clock with 3 victory points left, clearly he has no way of stopping this point from being captured. The Su-85s dive the base, pick up the flak half-track. They're probably going to pick up this Puma. Just YOLOing in there, because why not? The game is clearly over. And the Puma will also be destroyed as the final Katyusha barrage comes into the base. Valiant effort by Cruzz there, but he just couldn't quite get the map control. He couldn't quite get the map control under the threat of the M5. That snowballed into the Katyushas starting to roll onto the field. The Katyushas put enough pressure on Cruzz that he felt he had no choice but to dive a Jagdpanzer and put an end to their reign of terror. Obviously, hitting that mine was a very, very serious problem for Cruzz. If he had not hit that mine, who knows how the game might have gone. But, of course, the early loss of his Sturm Pioneers meant he had no minesweeper support, and he must have felt that he had no choice but to just gamble, just get in there and try and take out those Katyushas while he had an opportunity. But his opponent had already amassed so much fuel control that there was not only a mine to protect the Katyushas, but also an Su-85 out. So the timing is just the early game situation for Cruzz just snowballed too hard and too fast, and he was not able to handle it. GG. Allies win.